Thanks for coming. We've got a full house. I'd like to go ahead and start the September Airport Commission meeting in order. Goodness gracious. So I suppose we should start with the roll call.
Chairman Closeger,
Present.
Commissioner Carlson,
Here.
Commissioner Cunningham,
Here.
Commissioner Donlin, Councilmember Morales, Commissioner Vasconcelos,
Here.
Mr. Westergaard.
Here. Thank you. Well, first item on the list is the election of the commission chair, vice chair, and secretary. So my year is up, and our ordinance provides that we select a chair and a vice chair for next year's commission, as well as to appoint a secretary. It does not need to be a member of the commission. So with your permission, I would love it if Michelle were to be our secretary again. And so I would like to see if we can nominate chair and vice chair at the same time. Do we have any nominations?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I nominate our current Vice Chair, Carrie Westergaard, to step into the role as chair. And I nominate John Cunningham to step into the role as vice chair.
I'll second that motion.
Do we have any other nominations that anybody else would like to bring forward? With that, if we could get a vote, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, did I do that right? Okay.
Good job.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, with that out of the way, I'll finish up the meeting and then we can let Carrie be in charge. So next one is approval of minutes. Everybody read the minutes? Do we have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I will move to approve the minutes from last month.
Anybody for a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, motion carries. I don't think we have any deferred items or any unfinished business from last month, so we'll move on through that with the director's report. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Carrie and John as well for volunteering to serve for the next year. Thanks to everyone for showing up today. There'll be something really exciting coming up on the agenda. So thank you all for your interest in Commissioner Boesinger. Thank you so much for your leadership over the last year. We really appreciate it. With that, I will begin I think that I will begin my director's report. So the very first item up on our discussion today is our consolidated rental car facility.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Rebecca, is there any way to go full screen on that? Because it makes it really hard to read.
Or to
It is full screen on.
maybe, yeah,
maybe
dim
dim
the
those
lights.
lights out of the front.
Okay, Jerry's gonna work on that for us.
Okay, wonderful.
So progress continues. This is a 2-year construction project, so it's incredibly substantial, but we're making steady progress. And we've completed the pouring of the foundation for level 1, and we're beginning the preparation for level 2, as well as the customer service building foundation has been placed. So it's really exciting to see this as it starts to come out of the ground and take shape. Just a reminder, it's scheduled for completion in spring of 26. So we'll be talking about this project for the next year and a half, roughly. Also incredibly important to the airport, we have a number of airfield projects that are underway. These are to help us meet FAA revised design standards. We have a taxiway Delta relocation and also an aircraft rescue and firefighting access road construction. So this is our phase 4. We expect it will be completed at the end of the month. The runway is currently closed and will be closed for the remainder of the project because of the work that's happening in the safety areas there. And we expect it will be completed by early November. One of the big projects that we're looking forward to is construction of Concourse A. And while we're not currently in the building phase, we are in the planning and design phase, which is as important, if not more important than the actual construction. So as you may recall, we've hired Fentress Architects to help us with the design. They are completing an assessment of our baggage handling system, which is one of the first projects that we have them undertaking. Our baggage system was one of the first inline baggage systems that was implemented post 9/11 back in 2003. So we are concerned that it's rapidly coming to the end of its useful life. That combined with the fact that we have a substantial increase in passenger enplanements. It's something that's incredibly important for us to look at. They're also developing a forecast. We have a number of forecasts, but their forecast will look over the planning horizon of 20+ years. And they're looking also at existing conditions, so that way they can start the construction from there. So we also will be hiring Jacobs Project Management Company to help us as the owner's representative or executive project management team. So we will have Fentress doing the design. We will pick a company to do the construction, but the executive project management team is going to help us figure out the financing, how much we can pay, the timing and phasing, and really be the owner's representative on that project. So we expect to issue a construction manager at risk RFQ this fall, so that will be the company that will do the construction. And we also at one point in the future will be issuing what we call an airline terminal representative, technical representative. And they will be representing all of the airlines as far as what it is that they want. So we're not having to go to 6 or 9 different airlines to ask them their thoughts about how the terminal should look and operate and function. We'll get hopefully a unified voice from the airline terminal representative. So that more to come on that. If you've ever been here at 10 or 11 o'clock at night and you've tried to wait in the cell phone waiting lane, you know how dangerous that can be. It's very congested. We only have, I think, about maybe 15 parking spaces in that cell phone waiting area. It backs up into the travel lane on the terminal roadway, creates congestion and a hazard. For some time, we've debated and talked about what is the right location for an expanded cell phone waiting area. The bottom line is there's no place as close to the terminal as our existing cell phone lane that has the number of spaces that we need. The best option is to move it over to the cell phone, into the economy parking area. We're designating a specific part of that area using our existing infrastructure. It takes about 5 to 6 minutes to drive from the economy lot to the curb, which coincidentally is about how long it takes someone when they land and they call you or text you and they say, I just landed, I've arrived in Boise. It's about how long it takes them to taxi, deplane, and get to the curb. So we think this is a really good solution. Our top-notch marketing team has come up with some signage and they have a complete campaign to spread the word about this new option. We also have talked quite a bit about our new concessions program. We're very excited about the new developments. So just a point of reference, the existing contracts for 10 years will expire October 1, and the new contract period will begin October 1. The transition period will be a little bit easier because the proposers that we selected are the existing proposers. And we selected them not because they're existing proposers, but because they offered us the best proposals that were available. But there will be a phase-in period where we'll be doing construction. We expect that will start in December. And our expectation is that after our December commission meeting, we'll do a groundbreaking celebration of sorts to commemorate the new concessions that will be operating in the Boise airport. Just a side note, you may have noticed when you came in, or maybe it just looked different. You couldn't quite put your finger on what it was that looks a little bit different. But we did update the carpeting in both the ticket lobby and in our upstairs hallways. So it has a fresh look. This we expect will be very durable, will help to hide dirt and spills. We we got several years, decades, I think, out of our last carpeting, and we expect that this will hold the test of time as well. So I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to travel over Labor Day, but it was a busy time here. We screened more than 22,000 passengers between Thursday and Sunday, so nearly 1,000 more than last year, which equates to about 5%. Our parking thankfully did provide adequate space in that passenger demand. You also have here, we've handed out printed copies of our GA Hangout, and we will be hosting an event over at the General Aviation Hangars by the West Side Plane Wash. This will be on September 26th. We hope that you'll be able to join us, but the idea is to get out and mix and mingle with some of our GA tenants, hear any concerns that they may have, and let them know about things and developments that are happening at the airport. We also hosted a representative from Alaska Airlines. We had a corporate visit here, and we provided an opportunity to meet with local business leaders and also local tourism leaders. Thank you, Commissioner Westergaard, for your help in organizing the Visit Boise piece. I think it was very beneficial for our airlines representatives, but also for our local community to understand what an airline is considering when they are considering adding service to our community and what that means. The news that we received from Alaska was all very favorable about in advance bookings for the new routes that they've introduced, both Bozeman and Orlando. And, you know, we're very encouraged by their future plans, and we want to continue to build this partnership. So it was a really great opportunity for us to have this individual in Boise and showcase Boise. And we continue to move forward with some of our operations and preparedness activities. One of the things that we do is we do an airport emergency plan exercise every year. For 2 years, we do what we call a tabletop exercise where we walk through a scenario. Every third year, we do a full-scale disaster exercise. Some of you have had an opportunity to participate in that. It was attended by all of our local stakeholders and those that would be responding in the event of an emergency. And basically, we walk through a scenario that we think could happen and how we would respond to it. And then we take the lessons learned, identify any gaps in the plan, and apply those to future incidents. I do want to send a shout out to Jill. I don't know if she's here. Don't see her hiding in the back. We've got everybody and their brother here today, but not Jill. But Jill was selected to participate in Leadership Boise, which is a huge honor to her. And Leadership Boise is entering its 50th year. And basically it provides day-long sessions to educate people about Boise and positions them to be leaders in our community going forward. So did want to give a shout out to Jill for her work on that. On a sadder note, we lost one of our airport employee family, Octavio, passed away. He had cancer. It was a very quick battle. He, I think, was diagnosed last spring. He'd worked at the airport for 4 years, but he really had an outsized impact. And I just wanted to share that with the commission and with those that may be watching the presentation, because we talk about all of these things that we're doing at the airport, but it's really people who are making things happen here and pushing these projects forward and seeing to the day-to-day. And Octavio was well loved and respected by his team and really everyone that he worked with. So it is a tremendous loss for the airport and obviously also for his family. So do want to mention, we've talked about growth at the airport. We've seen tremendous growth in the recent months. We've been relatively flat at the beginning of the year with airline seat capacity being flat. I would say that changed starting in June. We saw substantial increases in capacity. July is a prime example of that. We saw a 9% increase in passenger travel in the month of July. And this translates into a 4% increase year to date for total passengers for the month, for the year of 2024. So, again, we're seeing substantial increases in August as well as early indications in September. We don't have the official numbers. Those won't be available until they are reported to us, but the airport continues to be busy. Top 10 operating revenues, there's really nothing new here. There's some of these that look like outliers where we see a tremendous increase. I think we've talked about them before. Some of these have to do with grant funding. Again, these numbers are year to date. So grant funds that have come in for the COVID relief are impacting a number of these, particularly the concessions. And then obviously increase in travel is what's driving some of the other revenues. On the expense side, again, things that we've talked about before, renegotiated contracts with police and fire. Credit card fees are attributed to the increase in parking. And then some of the other things relate to upgrades in equipment and services. So all things that we've talked about in previous meetings. And with that, that concludes my director's report, Madam Chair. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a couple. The concession, construction says starts in December. Will that be done by holiday travel?
So the timeline for the concession travel, we're gonna begin in December and we're gonna begin with new locations. So we won't immediately be closing existing locations. So we'll be building out the new locations before we close existing locations. So as you may remember, where we have the Art Source Gallery, where we have what used to be Forever Heather, the open storefront, and then also Shoe Shine, that will be closed as part of that first phase. Also, the food court area where we're removing a piece of artwork, that will be closed as part of that first phase. We're gonna, and then on the retail side, we'll be doing a new retail location before closing any of the other locations. So it takes time. I expect the first wave of new concessions will open in May.
Okay.
And then with the phasing, I don't remember the specifics, but with the phasing, we expect that it will be done in about the first year.
And then this current cell phone waiting lot, will that go away?
Yes, current cell phone waiting area will go away. Otherwise, I think we'll continue to see congestion there. So parking will be prohibited in that area.
Other questions from anyone else? Okay, moving on to commissioner comments. Bill, you want to start?
Well, I think it sounds like a good idea to have the baggage system, looked at, given that it's over 20 years old now. So that sounds like a positive.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Commissioner Bosinger for her leadership. It's been great serving with you, and I just love your knowledge of aviation in general. It's great having you here. And thank you all for electing me chair and John vice chair who's coming here. Appreciate that. I really did appreciate the Alaska corporate visit and being included in that. It was really beneficial to kind of, it definitely, like Director Hupp mentioned, it's definitely great for our visitor community to recognize exactly what they're looking for in routes. And I just loved how open the discussion was. So thank you for that. And then with that, I just wanted to say we're sorry for the loss of Octavia. It sounded like a stellar employee, and sorry to hear that.
Yes, I appreciate, Rebecca, your reinforcing growth and promotion opportunities for all the people here, and also keeping us informed of loss that occurs. And whenever a family loses a father, it's very devastating. So, but I appreciate your sharing about people, because I agree, people are, what move organizations forward, great organizations. My travel, this month I was part of the Labor Day excursion. I left early Tuesday last week. Overseas, went to Ljubljana, Slovenia, which is a small country near Croatia, Austria, and Italy. And then I flew home on Sunday evening, Delta, and we landed here at 8:30, and this airport was dead. There was no one here. So obviously people don't like to fly home on a Sunday on a holiday. So had no issues.
Very well.
Yes, had no issues whatsoever with travel. All the flights were on time. Interestingly enough, I came back through Amsterdam, which is a hub for Delta. And they have these self-enclosed, they look like giant rockers with tops on them. And they're massage, quiet sort of chambers. And they had them, like 4 of them in a little alcove, which I thought was very innovative because when you fly through a hub like that, you often will have a longer layover, especially if you're going through customs. And so you could be there for 3 hours. So I thought that was cool. I took a picture of it. It's really interesting. So,
I just have 2 brief comments. First of all, thank you, Jamie, for your service as chair. And I apologize, I missed the meeting last month and or the last meeting, whenever it was. And I'm not sure if this was addressed, but I wanted to congratulate General Donlin on his promotion. And one of the nice things about serving on this commission is I get to meet people like that. And I've really enjoyed getting to know him a little bit, and I'm excited for him. I wish I could have told him in person today, but sounds like he may have some bigger fish to fry now. That's my comment.
Thank you. Definitely echo those sentiments too. I didn't go to Slovenia. I went to Lewiston this morning. But travel nonetheless. It's been a pleasure to serve as chair, and I look forward to the leadership in here. So those are the only comments that I have. So I guess we'll just keep moving on with, we have a staff report. Is that?
That's me.
Okay.
All right. So we have been talking quite a bit about the different projects and things that are going on at the airport with commission, but also internally with our airport team, and putting together what we're calling sort of our strategic work plan. So we don't need a plan that sits on the desk and that we don't ever look at. What we need is a very clear roadmap about what we're doing and how we're moving forward. And usually I would note that September is the end of our fiscal year. So as we're concluding FY 2024 and starting to move into FY 2025, I thought this would be an appropriate time to review with commission some of the work that the team has been doing, looking at how do we want to position the Boise Airport moving forward, and looking at the growth that we've been experiencing and how do we continue to deliver the level of service that our community deserves and expects. So a couple of things. Obviously, we've talked about the tremendous growth. So to put things in perspective, back in 2019, which was, the last year pre-pandemic, and then with 2 years of no growth due to the pandemic, we were at 4.1 million passengers in 2019. This year, we're going to be approaching 5 million passengers. So in a very short period of time, adding a very substantial number of enplanements. So we've been working as a team, particularly with the senior leadership team, and then doing meetings with all of our managers and supervisors to talk about how do we want to shape the airport going forward. So we embarked on what we're calling our strategic work plan. I won't read you all of these things, but we're really looking at where do we want to be as an airport? Where are we as an airport? What is our mission? Where do we want to be? How are we getting there? Those are our foundational pillars. Our strategic themes are what we're focused on to move us forward. And then our work plan are the tactics and the actions that we're taking. So we've obviously been working on the Boise Airport for quite some time. We've updated our mission a little bit. But really, we're looking at safe and efficient operations, being an economic generator for the region, and being a strong economic partner. So those are really our focus points through our mission. And of course, we aspire to be Idaho's premier travel gateway. We want it to be everything that it has been. We want it to continue to be so friendly, hassle-free. We want to be a driver of economic growth and development, and also make sure that we have the infrastructure that we need. And we want to be innovative so that we can do it, quite frankly, better than others. So that's our vision. And as we talked about, what does it take to make those things happen today and into the future? We really identified 5 core foundational pillars, things that we think are essential to moving the airport forward. Obviously, first and foremost, operational excellence, safety, reliability, our key infrastructure, making sure that we have the facilities that we need to accommodate the growth, financial resiliency, being able to withstand, you know, financial hardships, whether it be a recession or a pandemic, an economic downturn of some sort, and diversifying our revenues. We want to ensure that we have a collaborative and engaging culture, so that way we can do great things together. And we want to champion the changes that are needed to support air service, and also achieve the mayor's strategic priorities and the priorities of the region. So the themes that are driving those are innovation, which is looking at new ways of doing things better, and new opportunities to deliver service. Efficiency, which means improving our process and how we're delivering service. And then engagement, which involves involving and engaging all of our stakeholders in a comprehensive plan. And then our work plan are some of the things that we have been working on. So this is how it all comes together. And then this is how it comes together specifically related to the airport. And a huge shout out to Jennifer and Shauna, because they make this look pretty and they also make it look easy to do. I tried to do this on my own and it was far more cumbersome than I had anticipated. So when we think about this, we have our foundational pillars, which are those 5 things, and then the overarching themes of how we're driving those forward. And there's certainly overlap between some of them. And so then we look at how that applies to our work plan. And so operational excellence primarily at this point impacts continuity and efficiency. Or I think we didn't update that. It should say innovation, but anyway. IT master plan, some of the things that we're doing. Common use scoping, that's the technology that we would use to allow multiple airlines to use a single aircraft parking gate. We're looking at a de-icing consortium. We're transitioning to the aqueous film forming foam because of environmental issues. We're looking at how we have all of our employees working here together as we add the people necessary to continue to deliver service. And then, of course, the baggage handling assessment ties directly into operational excellence. Some of the things that we've done is reevaluate how we're doing landscape and snow removal. Also, aviation workers screening, that's the new TSA requirement that we have to screen all workers, doing random searches of workers entering the secure area, working on our fleet management. We're also working on a gate utilization study. And again, the common use scoping. So the scoping is complete. The project itself is in process. So in terms of capital infrastructure, some of the things in progress, we've already talked about a number of these. Consolidated rental car facilities, cell phone waiting area relocation, the restroom remodel that we didn't talk about today, but we have talked about adding the restrooms, that's in process, the terminal design and some airfield improvements. Some of the things that we completed this year, We completed our employee parking garage, our bipartisan infrastructure legislation, airport terminal program application. That was a grant that we applied for $14 million for new jet bridges. We have not received word on that yet, but we did submit our application for that. We've completed taxi lanes, November, Sierra, and Whiskey. And then some of the things that are still in process related to financial resiliency include the Turo lease, which if you're not familiar with Turo, it's like Airbnb for rental cars. We have a new lease management program, and we are working on non-aeronautical land development that is ongoing. Some of the things that we've completed, all of these are huge undertakings. The concessions RFP, the rental car leases, issuing revenue bonds, and the fuel farm lease. And I will say 3 out of 4 of those were primarily handled by Amy and her team. So great work to Amy, because she really did a heavy lift on each of those projects. And then the innovative culture is certainly something that's ongoing. That's not something that you ever arrive at the destination. So some of the things that we're focused on are making sure that we have the right people in the right places, continuing employee development for promotions, professional development, online training, and continuing to measure and track employee satisfaction surveys. So we continually measure employee engagement through our online tool, celebrate milestones and achievements, and then also measure the passenger survey satisfaction results. Those are the ones that we've shared with you. We've been doing the surveys now for a full year, so we'll have a full year's worth of data that we can share with you next time, and that's the air service quality indicator that we share with you from ACI. And then advocacy, we are working on, and this has been a work in progress, our strategic communications plan, identifying our key stakeholders and key messages, defining our sponsorship policy, because we sponsor a number of events and we would like to formalize how we're doing that. And then ongoing are things like continued involvement in advocating for local, state, and federal legislation, and then also advocating for additional air service and destinations for our community. We have a number of projects that we started in 24 that will continue into 25, including our IT master plan. This was a huge undertaking. The common use technology, the gate utilization study, cargo common use policy, the de-icing consortium, and the firefighting foam transition. Again, on the capital side, it's the consolidated rental car facility, the terminal design, and also the runway incursion mitigation improvements. Those are studies that we're doing, and then we will be doing the actual concession transition. We did the RFP in 24, but the concession transition will happen in 25. And we have a number of new projects, things that we're taking on in 25. We'll do the common use implementation now that we're finalizing the scoping. We'll be doing the Concourse A apron, the parking apron. To do that, we'll have to demo the old fire station. One of the areas that we've identified for collaborative culture is an employee recognition program moving forward in 25. For financial resiliency, we're working on a non-aeronautical property plan. We may be issuing bonds for the terminal, depending on the timing for that. And we're implementing the lease management program that we selected. Some of the things that we have coming up, we're working on a speakers bureau so we can get the word out about all of the great work that's happening at the Boise airport. And we're going to start planning for the 100th anniversary of the Boise airport. So that's in 2026. So that's really exciting to think about how that's coming up. So in 26, some of the things that we're looking at is expanding our security screening and actually implementing the baggage handling. On the capital infrastructure side, we're evaluating whether or not we need to have a central receiving and distribution center. That will be in 26. We hope that we'll be able to start construction on Concourse A in 26. We'll be evaluating a transportation center, whether or not we need to have that, so think ground transportation. So when we add 10 gates and we build Concourse A, how does that impact the curb frontage? How do we manage ground handling? From that, well, there'll be a number of airfield projects. And we'll probably be looking at what is the next step in public parking. And of course, the anniversary celebration. As we get out to 27, the crystal ball gets a little less clear. But some of the things that we're expecting we could be doing in 27 will include phase 2 for the consolidated rental car facility. You may recall our existing rental car facility is ready return only. So phase 2 would be the quick turn facility where they do fueling, washing, and minor maintenance of rental cars. We'll be looking at Concourse B remodel. We probably won't be doing the actual construction, but we'll probably be working on some of the design. The FedEx lease expires in 28, so we'll be looking at, is it the right time to relocate FedEx or not? Terminal B remodel, apparently I have that on there twice. I want to make sure we don't miss that. And then any other non-aeronautical development I want to undertake. And so that's just a very quick snapshot of really what has taken the better part of a year to formulate into a cohesive plan. And it's interesting because when we work on these projects and we move them forward, I think a lot of times we do the work and we move on to the next project and we don't celebrate the wins. The other day, I was over actually at the chamber when Carrie and I were visiting with our airlines representative. And I looked at our kiosk that's over in the chamber lobby. And if you've looked at that recently, you will realize very quickly, like I did, that that is out of date and just how much things have changed in, 3 to 4 years time. So even with the pandemic, we've continued to move projects forward. So I think it's good when we lay it out this way. So we see the things that we've worked on, the things that are in progress, and then also what is to come. So I would be happy to answer questions from the commission about those.
What does an IT master plan entail and what does that mean for the airport?
So we're looking at all of our information technology things and all of the pieces that are touched with information technology. And it's everything from our heating and cooling system to our security cameras to access control to the flight information display boards to overhead paging. So looking at and common use technology will certainly be a big part of that. Again, the aircraft parking areas. So how all of those, what we really want to assess is not just what systems do we have in place and what's the replacement cycle for that, but how do we use technology to really leverage us and move us forward? Are there things that we're not doing today that we could be doing differently, that a process that we could automate, for example, whether it be billing or badging, and then how do we use technology to really leverage our service delivery?
Sure. Rebecca, I like the framework of, mission, vision, foundational pillars, strategic themes, and then what we're really doing. I think that's a really great way to see the areas of focus. I'm curious about the innovation. Is there a process in place that you follow for identifying innovation? I'm just curious about how that comes forward through the planning process.
I don't think that we have an established process per se. I think our hope is that by empowering employees that they can bring forward ideas and recommendations for how we improve things. For example, our ID badge office, they made a recommendation about a new software program that we're using to issue ID badges and also do audits it's been incredibly valuable and time savings, and that came directly from our employees. I think our IT master plan, just because so much of the opportunity for innovation comes through technology, I think that will be very informative in how we implement new opportunities and innovation, but it could be anything. It could even be, for example, in partnership with our concessionaires with some ways that they're delivering service in the terminal. So I think it can come from a variety of areas, but we don't have an established process for innovation.
I always have questions, sorry. The airport master plan, is that gonna be updated with this as well?
So the airport master plan, I don't think we had it on as specifically listed on our work plan, but it will be something that we're doing in 25. And we'll start the process in 25, I should say. Usually your master plan takes about a year to a year and a half. And so the master plan is really a 20-year look at what needs to happen. The last time we did a master plan, I like to joke that it became our 5-year work plan. So many of the things that were outlined in the last master plan that we did, we are already in process. The public garage, the employee garage, the rental car facility, the concourse, all of those things were lined out as part of our 20-year plan, and yet we're already doing those things. So I think the master plan will complement what we're doing, but give us a much broader look beyond what we have done to date. It will certainly inform beyond 5 years, and we expect that it'll look at things like the third runway, you know, forecasting, all sorts of things that, you know, what's next? We've got this concourse A, but what's next for de-icing and RON parking? And so, yes, we will be doing an airport master plan, and we will be reaching out to all of the stakeholder groups for involvement. So there will be a GA committee that will be part of the master plan, and they were part of the previous master plan. There also will be an opportunity for airport commissioners to serve on the master plan committee as well. So, but we'll be issuing a request for proposals for that, and we'll start the work in 25.
Fantastic.
You mentioned possibly issuing revenue bonds.
Yes.
And do you have a ballpark figure for how much that might be and what the timing would be?
I do not. So until we're further along in the design process, I think it's not, I mean, I could say, but it would be such a rough guess that I don't think it would be even worth mentioning. But I think we'll look at the phasing and we'll make a determination. We have it as a possibility, I believe for 26, but I don't know that that's exactly when we'll be issuing the revenue bonds. We'll want to time it, of course, based on interest rates, but also based on where we are in the project, because once you issue revenue bonds, obviously you start paying interest. And we don't want to start paying interest until we're really ready to move forward with the project. So
Rates should be lower.
we can hope that rates will be lower, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you. Great. And to everybody else who spent time on that, that's not just an afternoon slide deck, so that was very informative, thank you. So we're now on to the part of the meeting that we invite questions and comments from all of you and anyone who's online. So if there are anybody who would like to ask any questions, now's the time.
Not see any comments in the chat or any hands raised online.
Sounds good. Well, we did a lot better than we did last month, I think. So I think I'd like to.
Oh, I motion to ensure this meeting.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Hey, thanks for coming, everybody. Have a good Wednesday.